Welcome back to another edition of Talking Ball. It's Jack, and today we are looking at Thomas Sorber, the 6'10" freshman from Georgetown, who, he was not expected to be in this position. Most recruiting boards had him somewhere in the 50s, depending on your recruiting board of choice. He got off to a good start, played well. He got injured about 2/3, 3/4 of the way, 3/4 of the way, I would say, through the season, and now is weighing his decision. So I think there's a decent chance he stays in the draft, which is why I think it makes sense to make this video. And today we're going to spend some time looking into Thomas Sorber, what he does well, what he may not do quite as well, and areas of potential concern for Sorber, I should say. But I think ultimately this guy is an NBA player, whether it's this year or next. It's just a matter of time for Thomas Sorber. So let's talk about what Sorber does well. And we've got some of his highlights here playing. Sorber, he's got great feel, both offensively and defensively. But he has a really good understanding of positioning, putting himself using angles, putting himself in position for his teammates to find him. He scores in a variety of ways around the basket. He is a good athlete. And also, he does, a lot of big men are doing it more often, the Gortat screen, but I've seen him do it several times where he creates space for his teammates. That's something you won't find necessarily in the box score. He's got a good face-up game from 12 to 16 feet away. And as you just saw there, he is a really good passer. It's not necessarily something that is super evident statistically. We'll get into the stats later. But when you watch the games, there are lots of times where you notice his ability to pass out of the post and find open shooters is really impressive when double teams come, and his ability to just see the floor. I think offensively and defensively, he just has a good understanding of what he needs to do to help his team. Defensively, he blocked a bunch of shots. We'll get into the stats later. He also produced a lot of steals, which is not something you see traditionally from bigs, which is a really awesome sign for him moving to the next level. He has a really good, he's got good touch, I would say, from 12 to 16 feet, as we'll see right here against Eddie Lampkin. And I just love that he claps back right at Lampkin afterwards. Shows a lot of moxie from the freshman. And he's a willing shooter, but not necessarily a great shooter. He got them up from three. He didn't shoot them well. We'll get into the stats in a little bit here. And from the free throw line, wasn't necessarily super impressive either. So you've got the makings of what I think is a really good, well-balanced big, but maybe not a modern shooting big, right? And that's okay. Not every big, just because that's the wave, has to be a really good shooter. So the stats, I've been alluding to this for a little bit now. Let's jump into it. So statistically on the season, 14 and a half points in about 24 games, 31 minutes per game, 53% from the field, 16% from the three-point line, 72% from the free throw line, 8.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, basically 2 steals, 2 blocks, 1.5 steals, and just over 2 turnovers per game. Now, this is the thing I wanted to show you guys, and the reason why I think some draft evaluators might think it might be best off for Sorber to come back for one more season, and then be a fringe lottery pick, or maybe even a lottery pick next season. So the stats are pretty good, across the board. We just looked at them: 14.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, just over 2 assists, 2 blocks, 1.5 steals. Really good numbers. The thing that is a little bit concerning from Sorber, and listen, for most players this is going to be a somewhat similar case, but it's noticeable for Sorber, and that is his production against the 5 Big East tournament teams. So we're looking at the game log here. We've got Creighton, Xavier, Marquette, UConn, St. John's twice, and Xavier twice. So those were the 5 Big East tournament teams. Those are 7 games. In those 7 games, Sorber averaged only 10 points. He maintained his rebounding at 8 rebounds. His assists stayed the same, 2.5 more blocks, almost 3 blocks, 1.5 steals. But the big difference was his scoring. 10 points a game. His efficiency dropped to 45%. He didn't connect on any threes in those games, 0 for 11 in those 7 games. So offensively, he struggled against better competition, and that is something that I think is worth noting and a reason why he might come back. However, having said that, I think Thomas Sorber this year is a first-round pick. I think he goes somewhere in the low to mid-20s, and so it's just a question for Sorber. Does he want to come back and potentially be a top 15 pick next year? Or does he get that guarantee from one of these teams that say to Sorber, we are going to take you, in the, I guess, mid to late first round is the way to say that. So I'm curious, what do you guys think about Sorber? What other players do you want to see me profile? Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.